Geographic segmentation. One of the first type of segmentation used is the so-called geographic segmentation. Let's see how and when you use it in practice. In geographic segmentation, we divide customers by physical areas. So it might be by country, region, size of the city, location in the city. So I might decide that people in the suburbs and the city center behave differently. I can also look at the density of the population or the climate. Obviously, in the last case, I would assume that people within the same climate make roughly the same choices or need the same products. So you can see I base here the segmentation based on the very broad categories, and we assume obviously that people within a specific location are not moving too much between the physical regions. So if we were to assume that specific part of the city is a different segment, then this obviously assumes that customers from one segment are not traveling to another segment. Now let's have a look at some examples of such segmentation. So the first example is a segmentation of Europe by regions, and this is quite often used by fast-moving consumer goods. So we have put here Russia, Ukraine, Belarus in one segment, Northern Europe in the second one, then we have Western Europe, Southern Europe, and Eastern Europe. This enables you to create different versions of your product for different markets. Here we have geographical segmentation of Poland based on the size of the city. So every color is a different segment. So for example, the green one is one segment, the light blue cities between 200 and 400 is another segment, and so on and so forth. As you can see, we have here 6 segments, and every segment consists of different number of cities. So as you can see here, we look at the physical location, geographical location, and we assume this to be the most important thing influencing the choice of a product by customer. Now let's have a look when we would actually consider this sort of segmentation. So the first is quite obvious. We assume that geography or location impacts the customer choice, and we assume that people within the same type of location will roughly behave in the same way. Geographical segmentation is quite often used at the very beginning when you need a simple method that you can use to scale the business. So in other words, it gives you very general yet useful at the beginning a suggestion on how you should modify your product to adjust to a specific region or location. We would also use geographical segmentation if we don't actually have a lot of money to do in-depth analysis of the customers. Again, here this would be rather your first choice, and later on you would like to expand it, add more dimensions to that. In many cases, the segmentation is in a sense a way to adjust to the situation on the market. So you may be forced to differentiate your product by regions because you may have noticed that product has to be adjusted to a specific local market because they have a bit different tastes, bit different needs. So in a sense, this is something which happens by accident. And in a similar manner, you may be forced to do geographical segmentation due to legal system differences and legal requirements. They may influence how your product is being sold, how it's being packaged, and also it may influence certain features of the product. And therefore, you may decide to divide the bigger market into geographical segments. Now, let's have a look at the industries where most often this sort of segmentation is used. So we quite often see this segmentation being used in restaurants, B2C services, especially around beauty category and professional services. This method is also widely used in retail, where in a sense the segmentation of the customers becomes segmentations of stores. As we said, quite often this is used by fast-moving consumer goods, especially in the beginning when they start expanding outside the home market. Geographical segmentation can be also used by hotels. So this is similar to restaurants and retailers. And finally, we can see a lot of marketplaces that are targeting B2C consumers actually using the geographical segmentation. So this is due to the differences in the legal systems as well as in taste, but most of all due to the fact that the marketplaces in a specific region will require different supply of provider. So if you go, for example, with a marketplace to Italy, you would have to recruit their doctors. So this sort of segmentation, geographical segmentation, helps you manage the business and address the needs of the customers. So that's in short when it comes to geographic segmentation. Let's have a look at a case study, which will show us how to use it in practice.